All right, so if you've clicked on this video, that means you've watched the movie. If you have not watched the movie, spoiler alert, we're going to go through the movie together. So giving you guys a few seconds to click off the video. All right, so there you guys go. If you're still with us, that means you've watched the movie or you don't care about spoilers. All right, and you've been warned. And all right, here we go. So let's discuss Beetlejuice. So overall, I give it an 8.5 out of 10. So the pros of the movie, beautifully shot. Your classic Tim Burton movie. You get to see a lot more ghosts in the underworld, the afterlife per se. A lot of interesting deaths, and you can see a lot of the ghosts. The one that really stood out to me was the guy, the magician, I guess, stuck in the tank of water, like a contortionist, but it basically all in there. Really interesting stuff there. Beetlejuice, same airtime like the first one, but it did feel like he was in this one just a tad bit more. Winona Ryder, amazing as Lydia, like just stepped right back in the role. Catherine O'Hara, same thing, just amazing. I mean, they show how the father dies. They do a little bit of claymation. Tim Burton likes to do the claymation. He stays true to the old school stuff. So they do a little sequence there how he dies. Basically, he gets eaten by a shark. And you see him in the afterlife walking around looking for things. And he's decapitated, walking around with just his upper torso and no head. So
when he first came on screen, I was howling. That was so funny.
Yeah, you were laughing with that one. So, and then Jenna Ortega as Astrid was fabulous. So she meets a guy. Okay, this is kind of, so there's subplots in the film. There's a lot going on in the movie. So let's first start off with, okay, let's go back. Let's talk about Beetlejuice. So we see the origins of Beetlejuice. So he is a Spaniard from, hundreds of years ago.
He was a thief.
And he was a thief. He was a thief during the Black Plague, and he was
grave robber.
He was a grave robber. So they didn't have time to basically, do proper burials. They were just dumping bodies, and he would go around and steal jewelry from them, right? Lo and behold, as he's doing that in the graveyard, he meets Dolores, who, he marries her, but she's actually evil. She's basically part of almost like a
cult.
A death cult, right? And basically she poisons Beetlejuice, hence why he looks the way he does with green and white. He was poisoned, right? But before he dies, he essentially takes the axe and slashes her in half, right? So
that's why she had to stitch herself together.
That's right. So when we're first see her, she comes out of a box, and there's a gatekeeper there, like a caretaker, which is played by Danny DeVito. And unfortunately, once she has these powers that she's almost like what's the word I'm looking for, where she sucks your soul completely.
A Dementor?
Like a Dementor, very good, okay? Like a Dementor where she basically sucks your soul and then you're completely gone, okay? And then she kind of stitches herself together. So that's paying homage also to Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas. Just stitch yourself together. So, classic Tim Burton, right? So, and she's on the hunt to basically kill, Beetlejuice or find him, right? So she's going on the underworld. Beetlejuice is now established his office there with Bob.
Oh, Bob.
Bob, good old Bob.
I love Bob.
Bob, who was a safari hunter, but Bob's recruited also his friends as well. They look like Bob with a small head, big body. So they have an office there to, assist ghosts. So they're running their own little practice. And then, Beetlejuice basically gets called by William Dafoe's detective character, who's an actor, but who died, who is a detective in the underworld, saying, listen, you got to keep safe. Dolores is on the loose, and she's basically hunting you down. And that's where you see with the hot toys, with the face, with the eyes popping out and the tongue. That's basically his first expression when he sees the paper and sees her on the loose, right? So that's classic. That's where Hot Toys, when you see the Hot Toys now, that's basically what it is, right? So nice special effects there. Then let's go back now. While that's happening in the underworld, then we go back to real life here. The father dies. We know he got eaten by a shark. They have the funeral and all that stuff back in the town. And then Jenna Ortega basically befriends a guy.
A
guy, right, on the street. And, at first, you're like, okay, seems like a normal guy and stuff like that.
Romance.
Classical romance there, you see the parents inside the house, but they don't really show the parents, right? So there were some clues there that, something's maybe not right with this. Then we go back to the house, and then, of course, Winona Ryder, Lydia, she's going to get married to her new fiance.
I forgot what his name is.
Well, yeah, but anyway, he plays it well. I mean, he's a good side character, but his true intentions are he's all about the money because Lydia is basically now has her own show as
A ghost hunter.
a psychic medium, okay? Because of course she can see ghosts, and he wants to make money off her. But again, that's just another side plot there. And then of course she starts seeing flashes of Beetlejuice. Sees him walking around, so and he's taunting her. And she's like, he's back. There's a reason for it. Anyway, so while this is all going on, back to the underworld now. Beetlejuice is still kind of laying low. He tells Bob to go and disguise him. He dresses Bob up as himself, and Bob.
Couldn't see the difference, guys.
You could not tell the difference between Bob and Beetlejuice. I mean, the heads look identical.
Couldn't spot the difference.
No, and basically, Bob is basically now dressed as Beetlejuice, which I'm sure they're gonna come out with a figure and a Funko Pop with that one.
That's a must-have.
So he's used as a decoy, and I know Beetlejuice is a typical Beetlejuice, selfish, and like, don't worry, Bob. If she gets you, you're just a decoy. As long as she doesn't get me, we'll be good. And Bob's like, oh, okay. Bob doesn't really talk, right? And then basically now we go back to Jenna Ortega, Astrid. Halloween. There's a lot of Halloween theme. Everything, the main, I guess, the central point of the film happens on Halloween night. So Tim Burton's incorporating a lot of Halloween. I guess it's going to become a Halloween classic movie. You see kids trick-or-treating, whatever. Astrid goes to the guy's house there. But we find out slowly that he's not who he is. He's actually a ghost. And then he says, I'll take you to the afterlife, but you got to do something for me. You need to, recite these words from the handbook of the recently deceased. And she does so, and they go to the afterlife, right? Mm-hmm. Now, while that's going on, the daughter from the very first movie, from the realtor, basically is back at the house talking to Catherine O'Hara. To Lydia, excuse me. And Lydia basically is like, yeah, I gotta go pick up my daughter. And then basically the realtor's, where is she? And she gives the address. She's like, that's impossible because I can't sell that house. It's been vacant for so many years after the murders. And she's like, what murders? She's like, well, the son that lived there murdered his parents. She's like, oh my God. So, gasp. So Astrid, she has this, she's not like Lydia. She doesn't believe in ghosts. She's like, my mom's a fraud. I don't believe in this stuff. But she has the capabilities, such as Lydia, to see the ghosts, right? By the way, her biological dad is dead, which we'll get to in a second. A lot going on in the film here, guys. And then basically Jenna Ortega, Astrid, basically goes to the afterlife. She's screwed now, and basically, she's gonna
swap her life out for this guy.
This guy's, exactly. So now Lydia's kind of like, all right, I need to call him. And she calls Beetlejuice, right? And he comes out, and that's where you see in the trailers, the juice is loose. So they go to the underworld. He shows her where to go. He steps into the men's washroom. Then the biological dad of Astrid, is dead there, but he sees her, and he got killed by piranhas in Brazil.
Yep.
Okay, in the water, and he's got all this fish on there. Like I said back at the beginning of the video, there's a lot more ghosts in this one with interesting deaths. Let's just say, right? So he helps out basically Astrid and Lydia, who kind of ditches Beetlejuice in the mid process. But before we go to that, like I said, there's a lot going on. Beetlejuice says to Lydia, paying homage to the first one, he's obsessed with marrying her because if he gets married to her, he gets to come back to the real world. And that's all Beetlejuice wants. I mean, Lydia, just give it to the poor guy, right? So that's how he agrees to it. But anyway, the climax of the film then takes place in a church after, they escape the afterlife there. And then Dolores essentially finds them. The sandworm plays a huge part in the film, basically taking out Dolores and, of course, the fiance of Lydia's, who's, real intentions. I forgot his name. Oh, jeez, I'm sorry, guys, but a lot going on here to cover, right? But basically, he gets eaten by the sandworm along with Dolores, and, that's pretty much it. And then it's a cool little sequence there of them singing, kind of paying homage to the first one where they have the song playing, and, Beetlejuice and Lydia are doing their little dance, and then everyone starts doing their dance. And spoiler alert on this one too, so we got to touch base on this one too. Catherine O'Hara's character does die in the movie. She has some snakes that she thought she defanged, and they had venom in them. And for some reason, she goes to the graveyard of her late husband to do a video, and the snakes basically bite her, and she dies. And she's in the afterlife while this is all going on. So, yeah, guys, a lot going on in the film here. We could talk for about an hour. So, lo and behold, the sandworm basically takes out the Dolores and random husband guy who basically is a fraud. And then, of course, Lydia's like, okay, well, poor Beetlejuice is like, I don't need you anymore. So he basically says, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. He turns into this big balloon and then and goes flat. Okay. Now we're gonna talk about Baby Beetlejuice. So Baby Beetlejuice is introduced when the first time Lydia and the fiance go to the afterlife, for counseling, and basically Beetlejuice is acting as a counselor, and basically he, he impregnates or shows that he's, Lydia's pregnant, and the baby pops out, and it's Baby Beetlejuice, and it's kind of terrifying.
Very terrifying.
Very terrifying. And then, the husband's like, thinks it's a lucid dream. And she's like, we're taking too many drugs, prescribed drugs. And it's pretty funny. And then at the end of the movie, Lydia's like, okay, I'm done being a ghost host. I'm done being a psychic medium. She takes, Lydia or Astrid to the Dracula castle, because they always wanted to see it with their dad. And then basically she finds a guy and they get married. And then there's a nice sequence of the baby coming out, and it's like it's a funny little horror moment there where the baby comes out. It's like almost like the show V. If you guys remember from the 80s, the show V, where the girl has birth and it's a reptile baby, right? In this scene, you can see the kind of like correlation between the two. You guys have no idea what I'm talking about here, but Tim Burton's like my generation, right? If you watch the movie, you can probably see that. But anyway, then you basically see the baby come out, which is, Baby Beetlejuice, and he goes on a rampage. And then, of course, Lydia's in bed, then wakes up from the lucid dream, and there's Beetlejuice right next to her going, oh, hey, honey, I just had a terrible dream, too. And then basically what Tim Burton's doing here is that no matter what. All right, so iPhone obviously cut me off here because I was putting in the Beetlejuice where it just kept on going on and on and on and on. So anyway, what I was trying to say is that basically at the end, Lydia and Beetlejuice are interconnected together, and hopefully they're going to make a third Beetlejuice movie. What else? Bob does die in the movie again, right?
Rest in peace, Bob.
Rest in peace, Bob. Okay, which means he's probably gone to the heavens above, right? Somehow, pulled a Moss Man from Master Universe where he dies like twice. So there you go. Go figure. I guess you could die in the afterlife. They make references to basically Barbara and Adam from Gina Davis and Al Baldwin, where they went basically. So Lydia basically tells Astrid that as Astrid's question is like, well, where's your ghost friends that you used to hang out with all the time, right? She's like, they found the loophole, essentially meaning, up to the heavens above, right? What else? My one main thing that I will complain about, I mean, it's not major, but one thing I think a lot of Beetlejuice fans might agree with me on this one is I found in this one, other than the special effects of him with the popping eyes out and the tongue, which you guys have seen with the hot toys, is they didn't have Beetlejuice morph into objects, or things, right? Where in the first one, he morphed into a snake. He morphed into a circus worker with the sledgehammers on his side there, you know what I mean? Like, it just, those things I think I kind of missed myself personally, and I wish they had done that. But again, my wife did make a note that, he was doing that to scare people. He's a prankster, but, he didn't really necessarily have to do it in this one because everyone going to, pretty much already knew who he was. And basically the whole movie, he's in the afterlife, right? He's pretty much there. The only time he comes out is the one church scene at the end there where he's marrying Lydia with the contract, which becomes void because of a clause that basically becomes void, and Astrid finds it in the book of the recently deceased. So anyway, overall, on par with the first one, definitely more action in this one, I would say. Obviously, a lot more plots going on, more characters, right? So overall, very happy with the movie. That's the only one complaint I would have with it in terms of him not morphing into more things. But again, Michael Keaton, amazing actor. I mean, we need him back from Beetlejuice again one more time and Batman. So Tim Burton and Warner Brothers, get going. We want to see more Michael Keaton. He's getting older. He's getting up there, but again, we want to see definitely more of him. The pictures you're also seeing are also from my collection, my toys, NECA, Loyal Subjects, and Funko Pop. So I'll be picking up some more stuff, but I did pick up the Sandworm from Landmark Cinemas. That's where I saw the movie tonight. So we'll be doing a video review on that one. Also a cool cup that comes in the package there at Landmark. So we'll cover that tomorrow. So stay tuned for more. All right, guys. So if you stayed with us the whole video, thank you very much. My mouth is completely dried out here. I'm going to have to drink some water, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.